Welcome to Matrimonial Merger, the podcast where Ambry and Jesse, a husband and wife couple, share their insights and experiences on relationships, health, and wealth. With their expertise in business and as neuro-linguistic master practitioners, they provide valuable advice on overcoming challenges and achieving success. Join us for practical tips on navigating the intersection of personal and professional life.
Welcome to the Matrimonial Merger. So excited that you're with us here today. Wanted to talk about the success mindset around business and what makes some of the great entrepreneurs, and not only entrepreneurs, but what some of the great leaders that we know. And Ambry and I have surrounded ourselves with multiple people, and we have found some common things we're going to share with you tonight about those that really separate themselves from being just an average person, maybe even less than that, to someone that's actually going after their life and fulfilling their life to the greatest abilities that they'd like to. So with that being said, Ambry, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am so good. So good.
Good.
Yes, I keep shying away from the mic because...
Yeah, Jesse cracked open a Zevia, which is a carbonated drink.
And they gave me the burps.
Right before. And I looked at him. I was like, you're really going to drink carbonation right before we record? Like, please don't burp on the air.
Or in your ear.
Yeah, I don't want that.
That's what it's all about.
I mean, it benefits me and the listeners.
Yes,
so.
Yes. No, I will do my best to do this weird hoot and then burp and then come back in.
All right, enough of that. That's disgusting.
That's kind of gross.
Anyways, so the first point that we're going to talk about is around knowing what you want. That's the first secret to success, as we should call it. Knowing what you want.
How many times have we thought maybe there was a good idea? Oh, this sounds awesome. Maybe I should invest my money in this. Maybe I should, really start this project. Everyone else is doing this new thing. And so you kind of just start, right?
Yeah.
You're not sure if you actually like it or not, but we'll say oh, I'll just try it and see what happens, right? Okay, there's a lot to be said about trying new things and being flexible. However, we want to go deeper with knowing what you want and why you want it. Instead of just trying things and analyzing it and experiencing whatever feedback comes, actually knowing why you want to do that and doing it 100%.
Right. Having clarity about what you want and then a laser sharp focus on those goals and then going after them with unrelenting determination.
Right.
And like you said, rather than spending hours and hours analyzing every single opportunity.
Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't just say, hey, Ambry, let's go take $1,000 and spend it and see what happens on this advertising campaign or this marketing thing. I wouldn't do that. It would be, okay, I want to do this. And the reason why is because it's very specific. Here, I feel this will be a great outcome. We'll do split testing, but it's more defined. It's more direct. It's not
laser focused.
Exactly. You are committed before even spending the money. You are all in. It's not just a let's try it and then analyze whether or not that's a good idea for you or not.
Right.
And so having a hyper focus clearly is one of the top things that we've noticed, and some of the people we've talked to and worked with along the years is those that know exactly what they want. Number one, on our real estate transactions, when they know exactly what they want, it makes it so much easier for us.
Right.
Versus those that don't really know or haven't established it, it takes time and frustration.
Yes, clarity is key. And I think, it looks different for everyone, obviously, but understanding what do your goals even mean to you? I know a few weeks ago on one of the Emerge Mastermind calls, we talked about somebody who wanted to scale their business faster. And I mean, there were several people on the call that were in the same boat, and taking a step back and saying, okay, well, what does that mean? What does it mean to scale faster for you? What would be faster growth? And you need clarity about that, right? So the goal needs to be specific. It's not just more money or faster growth or, but it's like, well, what does that mean? What amount of growth in what time frame, right?
And not even just a percentage. Like we were trying to say growth meaning what specifically? Do you want growth in the aspect that your business is working without you being involved in it every single day? Do you want growth in sales? Do you want growth in, positive reviews on Facebook or Google? Like what does growth mean to you? And what specifically do you want associated with the word growth?
Mm-hmm.
Because oftentimes we're like, oh, you know what? I'd love $1 million. I've heard a lot of people say that. If I had $1 million, my life would be different. Well, yeah, it would be different, but it actually wouldn't be different. The only thing different would be you'd have the money, but then you wouldn't know exactly what you want and you would still be miserable because it was never about the money that would make you happy. In fact, one might even argue that that money would be spent based because on the poor spending habits that you currently have, because having $1 million can be easy if you know what you want and how to use it. Right. And so having that clarity, like you said, super, super important. Plus it helps you maintain your strength.
Well, and then that like helps you avoid the analysis paralysis as well, right? Because if you have that much clarity in the goal and in like what it is you're doing, the taking action part becomes very easy. Yeah. Because when the opportunity comes or when, when a decision is in front of you, it's a simple yes or no, because if it is aligned with that laser focused clarity, perfect. And if not, nope, like that's not what we want.
I think the book, The E-Myth Revisited, really hits it home when he talks about you have your fat self and you have your skinny self. And he says that your mind has multiple personalities, right? The fat self, you're sitting there, you're eating, you're not really thinking about it, you're just plugging away. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you're watching this sports game or you're watching something or you're just walking, right? And your heart hurts and you're like, all of a sudden the skinny self slides into your mind that's like, you're better than that. Go buy some shoes, go run. And then all of a sudden the skinny self takes over for a few days. And then a few days go by, you've lost maybe a pound or two, you start to feel better. And then the fat self enters in the mind again. You start eating Cheetos. Like,
I think like the direct comparison for like financial and business goals would be like your scarcity minded self and your abundant minded self, right?
Yes.
Like I think those are the two constantly conflicting parts of us, right? That we have to align and figure out in order to create that clarity.
Exactly. And the more clear you are on what you want, the easier it becomes. And then that kind of segues into the next section here of what do these top individuals, these CEOs, these people do? Well, they figure out what they want, they set a plan in place, and then they don't just stop with the plan. Mm-hmm. They look to automate their plan,
right?
So that it just happens instantly for them. So it's not even a decision.
That creates more time for them too. It's like, okay, well, now that I perfected this, like, let's automate it so that I can move on to the next piece, the next puzzle piece that's going to create more growth.
100%. Like we talk about a buy box, right? Like let's talk about acquiring a business. Some people really enjoy that. Maybe their buy box is, all right, I'm going to buy businesses with a $5 million top line revenue. And they're going to have 3 or 4 employees at the very least. And it's going to be professionally operated, managed. And those are the only companies that I look at that I want to purchase. Therefore, someone comes in and says, hey, I've got this business that, makes $10,000 a year. Would you buy this business from me? Instantly, it's like, no, that's not in my buy box. They don't have to go back and analyze or think about it because it would, in theory, wouldn't even cross their desk.
Right. So it essentially is eliminating the need for like constant decision making in that aspect. It's like it's automated. It's easy. You don't have to think about it. It's not, and in some cases in a business, it truly, like, I mean, even I'm trying to think of something as simple as like a product or service that you use within your business. Like think about when you sign up for that service or product. Let's say it's $10 a month. And when you pay for that, more than likely, if you plan on using that month after month, you're going to put it on an auto pay type of setup, right?
Yep.
Where every month you're not having to look at it and go, oh, do I want to spend $10 on this again? Is this, sure, you can reevaluate at some point, or, if there becomes like a greater product or service that you need to upgrade, then great, reevaluate. But like, you're not having to every month consider, am I going to spend this $10? So it's the same thing with, with automating other processes, or even like what's the word I'm looking for? System, but like a policy, right? Just having a policy in place. I think like policies are so funny to me because like, can they be changed? Can you like deviate from a policy? Sure, you can. But I think as a business owner, like policies are one of the smartest things ever because you can be like, oh, well, sorry, this actually goes against our policy, so I can't do that.
Right.
And all of a sudden it's like, oh, like they're not going to question you because it's a policy.
It's a policy.
Right?
Yeah.
So
It's
I
your
think,
standard.
like there's one way to automate things, right? Is just implement a policy and abide by it.
And now I know we're talking a lot about entrepreneurial and business owners and stuff, but this goes hand in hand with being the CEO of your own household, right?
Yeah,
like you and I, we were just talking about this. Like we spent a few hours downstairs in our lovely basement that's chock full of toys, and we went through so many different toys, and we set up a process with the bins where we said, okay, all the race cars are in one bin. All of the blocks are in another bin. All of the Barbie or the animals, everything's in this one bin. And we moved everything down to a central location. And we said, if you bring a bin upstairs, you bring one bin. And that's the only bin until you've picked it all up, put it away, and then you can bring up another bin. Yeah. But we set up a system and a process where now for 6 days straight, since we've done that, right? Or has it been?
I don't know.
It's been a week.
It's been a week.
Yeah. So a week now, we have not had the massive dump of a living room of toys.
With all kinds of random.
Oh, yeah. The living room stayed cleaner.
It just feels so much better.
It feels so much better. But guess what? We're not sitting here thinking about it every single day.
Or even thinking, like when it's time to clean up the toys, like, hey, there's one bin of toys. Like,
right.
It's super straightforward. It's not causing extra decisions or stress in our mind of like, what even is on this floor? Where does it go? Like you've got random like workout bands mixed in with the toys, and then you've got 7 different like categories of toys, like, and then we would end up just throwing it all in one bin anyways, but being frustrated by the lack of
cleanliness.
Yeah, the lack of organization.
And then you'd occasionally find like
I don't have to think about it.
You'd find like a stale loaf of bread or a blueberry or something. Yeah, just something gross in there. But like, think about that. Now with transition, like you're the CEO.
Did you say stale loaf of bread?
Yeah, stale loaf.
You mean like slice? Yeah. I don't think I ever found a whole loaf.
Just a random loaf chilling. You never know. With our 2-year-old Trey, you never
usually
know.
It's like half a slice that was toast at one point, and then somehow slid under the couch.
I must be tired. I must be tired saying a loaf.
I was like, wait, loaf?
Hold on. Yes. No, that's awesome. But like, we're talking about like you're a business owner and you're a CEO of your home. Like you are a CEO of your life. And so regardless, this message will resonate. But I want you to think about it. If you're going back to your business, how many boxes of unorganized crap do you have on your desk or in your area where if you were just to go in and create a system and a process and automate it so they just happen frequently, or like you mentioned with the example of having money come out of your account every single week because you didn't have to think about it. Imagine if you set up a system or process like that with an investment where, $10 came out of your account every single day. You didn't really notice it. And then in 60 days, all of a sudden, you've got a lot more money, right? Like imagine setting up those systems and processes where you don't have to think about saving money. You don't have to think about lead flow in your business. What if it just happened automatically? It'd be easy for you. And then amazing. 60 days later, the results huge.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And so automation, right? Like if you figure out a system, you figure out a process, and then once again, if you're trying to be successful with your business mindset in your life, whatever it is, then you start to figure out how to automate it and make it easier so you no longer have to think about it.
Right.
Because
I love that.
As a CEO, as a mother, a father, whatever the case, your whole goal is to give your brain the least amount of thoughts possible in a given day while still maintaining your trajectory of where you
Right.
want to go.
Well, and going back to the simple example of the toys, right? Like at the end of the day, the prior like lack of system that we had in place, like everything would still kind of end up in like the same one bin, even though like it was all different stuff. We still would just put it all in one bin. So you could say like, well, there's no difference in that versus, the super organized system because you're just doing the same thing. But the difference is like you mentioned, the number of thoughts and the stress associated with it, right? Because when we looked at that prior situation, it was like frustration. It was, well, I want this to be organized, but it's not, so I'm just going to throw it all in one bin. But your mind is going through so many steps and thoughts in the process every single time that are unnecessary.
Yeah.
And so,
which causes frustration.
Yeah.
Right? And then the feeling's
it
different.
distracts you from what it is you want, what you want to be focused on.
Right. The feeling's completely different though.
The feeling is the most important.
Right? Because emotions cause commotion. So if you're feeling confidence after having a system and process in place and you're feeling good about it, like the laundry, every Sunday we get our bag ready. So Monday morning it goes right out on the porch, and then every Tuesday it comes back, or sometimes Monday afternoon it comes back. And what do you and I say? Oh man, this is awesome.
Look, laundry's done.
Right. And we laugh about it because it's been automated and it's a system and it flows so well with our schedule that anytime it comes back, we don't feel like, oh, we should cut the financials on that laundry. We're like, how do we continue to work hard and to generate income to have this? Because this is so much better than 4 hours a week of laundry. If you're listening to this show, it's because you're a successful business owner or you're striving to become more successful. But guess what? Anytime you've experienced new success, it has brought new challenges. It's time for a change. Check out the Business Liberation System. It's the key to regaining focus and working on your business, not just in it. You see, as you experience more and more success, that success is bringing new things into your business that's taking away from your concentration, and it's costing you money. You're slowly going from CEO back to an employee, and don't let that catch you. It's time for you to recognize these things and get back on the track of becoming the CEO of your business so that you can work on it. Go to theemergecoaching.com and get on the fast track by joining the Business Liberation System. To get there even faster, click on the show notes and it will take you right to where you need to be. Success should bring freedom, not frustration. Let's get back to the episode.
Get rid of the minutia.
Yes, get rid
Have
of
you ever
it.
spelled the word minutia?
I'm not going to do that just because
It's like, I don't know why. Like, I love spelling. It's like the funniest word. Like, is it even possible to like?
I would spell it men, and then MENUSHA. Minutia.
I mean, that's
Minutia.
phonetically that sounds right, but
There's probably some like 8-year-old spelling bee champion that's like, that's not how you spell it, but that's okay.
the actual spelling is MINUTIAE. Like what? English is the best language. It's so funny.
Yeah, I
like
think
what? Where did how that? Anyways,
minutia.
yeah.
But hey, now how do we how do we create a system and process to memorize how to spell minutia so you no longer have to think about it?
I don't know.
Right?
I'll let you get back to me on that.
Anyways, back into like the systems, right? So after you have that, now you've optimized your time, and the last thing you want to do now is guard sacred your time. That's one of the the third thing that I've noticed is now that you've set up your system, your process towards what you're working towards, whether that's a financial goal, a savings goal, whatever the case, and then you've automated it, now it's increasingly important to utilize your time to go back, take a look at it, make sure it's going the way you would like it to go, but then freeing up your time even more so that you can continue to be in a creative and a flow state and continue to grow. And you shared the analysis paralysis. Like, the reason why your business is not scaling fast enough, or the reason why you're having so many issues right now, and you're experiencing this feedback is because you're going through an analysis paralysis.
Or trying to like constantly reinvent the wheel rather
Yes.
than optimizing the current systems that you have in place that, you know, you've proven work and, you know, they're flowing.
I mean, one of the greatest things I remember you and I talking, and we were trying to do this Instagram marketing and do this real estate, like blog post marketing and all this stuff. And I looked at you and I was like, you know what? Like 95% of our business has come from our friends and family.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, let's just go back.
Optimize that rather than like trying to go 900 different directions and and do all of them like 4%.
Right. The minute we did that and went back to what it was, it became easy again.
Yeah.
There was no more stress. There was no more like, I hope this works and retesting and trying. Now, I'm not saying to not add to your quiver and your lead generation, but what I'm saying is we didn't fully optimize our current process and system. We didn't even know how. And therefore, we were leaving a lot of money and a lot of time on the table, spending a lot of money because we didn't optimize the thing that was already working for us. And so that's, you know, one of the biggest things that we learned is now that you've gone through, you figured out what you want, you figured out a system and it's working for you, just go and optimize it. Make it the very best system possible and put your flavor on it and test small things here and there and get the different results. I mean, right now we're doing that with YouTube videos and specifically YouTube videos in our real estate. And we've been at it for about 6 weeks. And throughout the 6 weeks, we have gotten progressively better where, 2 weeks ago, we had a fully optimized video, which has never happened before. We also received 2 comments on 2 separate videos, which we haven't had. And then today I looked at it and it said, hey, congratulations, the click-through rate, meaning the people that clicked through your YouTube video was number 1 out of 10, which we haven't experienced before. Like it was the highest possible
that's cool.
click-through rate. And that was awesome. Like, and essentially what it means, and maybe click-through rate's not the right term, but essentially when someone sees our thumbnail, they click on it. So, and it was 1 out of 10 being the highest based off the metrics. So, and within, you know, an hour, we had 3 views on our podcast episode actually of last week.
Nice.
Which we've never had before.
Listening, everybody.
Yeah. So once again, going back to figuring out your strategy, being invested, why do you want that strategy? And then automating it. I mean, if you got to sit and talk to Ellie, one of our phenomenal employees, she would tell you that the last 6 weeks we've been doing nothing but automating and creating a easier, faster system for her and for us. And then all of a sudden we're starting to get the results we want. So now we got to pay attention to the small things, take one thing at a time, figure out if that's the key that's affecting the video, or if it's not, then what do we need to do differently? And then just continue to add upon it and develop the fundamentals.
Yep. Optimize rather than reinventing over and over.
Yeah. And just being like, one of the things we noticed with this podcast is as the more we are our true authentic selves, the more listeners we get. Like, and that's awesome. So how do we optimize being more true and authentic to ourselves? We just continue to be ourselves and learn and grow. And the more you and I are learning and growing, Ambry, the more listeners we're attracting.
Right.
And that was pretty cool.
It's a pretty amazing concept.
It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, I think of today, a great example of learning and growing, like Quincy's teacher had a birthday today. And one of the things that we did was tested the neurology, turned up the car really loud. Everyone danced and pretty much cheered happy birthday as we were driving by because she's out on carpool duty in the mornings, right? And you leaned over and you're like, I didn't lean over. You just looked over. You weren't like really close, like in my ear.
Leaned in
Kissed my neck.
Ew.
But no, you looked over and you're like, I don't know if I would have done that without you in the car. But we had a great conversation about, you know, just testing and trying new things. And that's what it's all about. But being your true and authentic self for us in this podcast has helped develop more listeners. So now it's a quest of being more true and more authentic and sharing more silly stories and having fun with it.
Yeah. I love it.
It's tons of fun.
Blaring music out the car at like 7:45 in the morning.
You know what's so funny is like seeing Quincy too. Like she was like semi.
She like loved it, and then she was like,
"Okay, roll the windows.
Okay, we're done."
Yeah.
But then she was like, "Wait, that was cool, right?"
Right. It was awesome.
I was like, "You made her day. Of course it was cool."
So that's the key. That's some of the things that you and I have compiled and put together and said, "Wow, like these are true people we want to be around, leaders." They've got this business mindset that is just unreal awesome. And it's because they're not looking at all the stuff out there. They're not focusing on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, and they're not focusing on being a real estate agent and a whatever, fill in the blank. Like, they are doing the one thing, they get really good at it, they figure out how to automate it, and then get even better at it, and better in the automation where it just becomes easy.
Yep. I love it.
It's a lot of fun.
Simplifying. I was just talking to a friend this week who is an entrepreneur, and she and her husband have been running a business together. And anyways, and she's kind of been running a side business of her own at the same time. And over the past year, she's kind of had a realization of having her time in too many things, and the desire to kind of bring it all in and focus on the one thing that can, and I'm kind of putting this in my own words, but the one thing that has so much potential and can produce massive growth in their life.
Yeah.
And so she's kind of slowly cut back and shut down some of the other aspects and things she was doing, so that her and her husband together can focus on this business they've built together, and they're taking ownership of it this year, and just really blowing that up. And having a conversation with her, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
To take the, you could call it risk or step or leap of faith, whatever it is, to let go of something else in order to be aligned and all in on the thing that, the biggest opportunity, whatever you want to call it, but the thing that you want to be doing, where your goals most aligned and the clarity and purpose is there. And so in having this conversation with her, I was just like, you know what? This is so exciting. I can't wait to see what, the next 3, 6, 12 months looks like for you, because you've done a lot of things that from the outside could look really hard. You've made a lot of decisions and let goes and things that, that can be tough to do. And so, kudos to you and way to go. And it's exactly this. It's putting your focus in and growing and expanding on the systems and processes that you have in place, rather than reinventing the wheel and, having too many things taking up your time and attention, and not being able to experience hyper growth in the one that you could.
Yeah.
Right?
I got caught up in this. I remember when we first started our entrepreneurial journey, we started having some massive success, and then all of a sudden it was okay, we're going to do this. Now we're going to do that. And all of a sudden, a million things at one time, right? All in the name of growth. That was my idea, is we're going to do all this and grow so fast. Well, what happened was it was like cooking 3 different things at one time, right? I did that with nachos a couple days ago. I was cooking steak. I was making toast for the kids, and I had a plate of nachos. And lo and behold, the nachos pretty much caught on fire.
They were black.
They
nachos,
were black,
charcoal black nachos.
And the nachos were for the kids. And I just I had to take a step back. And I remember looking at you, and I'm like, I should not be multitasking. This is not
that's funny.
It's the same thing with you and your business. There's times when you're multitasking and doing too much for the idea that it's growth, but you're just putting in more
And sometimes you just feel good because you're like, oh, I'm doing so many things. And like, I've got this business and that business. It's like, well, great. But like, if it's sucking all your time and energy and creativity and not really going anywhere, then,
Yeah.
you know, maybe it's not so great after all. But like, if you can spend the time like invested in perfecting the one thing, right?
Yep.
And then from there, like, then go create the new, you know, go create something new with the same tried, true, proven systems and processes and principles attached to it, right?
Yeah.
And then it's easy.
Yeah. I'd say let's just break it down for a second. Let's say you are a window washer and you found through window washing that knocking doors is the best way for you to scale your business and get the easiest yeses to sales. Well, then how do you automate that? Well, you could automate it by hiring employees, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could automate that by hiring someone to wash the windows, and you go do that if that's what you enjoy. But then you automate it so that it's just easy and consistently happens. Okay, so then you scale it and you've learned to automate. Well, then you start taking it a little bit deeper, right? Like, okay, maybe there's ways to automate it even more. And automate doesn't necessarily mean using AI or using, email drip campaigns. Automate could just be creating it so it's automatic and you don't have to think about it, right? So what if you being a window washer, all of a sudden, like it's not the windows you enjoy washing, it's just going and knocking and getting another deal, and you're really good at it. Well, then in theory, you would just want to walk around and do that all day long, right? And you just make it automatic for you. It'd make it easy and effortless, and you would scale and make a lot of money. And then naturally, you just do that every single day while everyone else is taking care of all the other stuff, right? There,
Right.
You've automated it. Well, then you get so good at it that you find that now all of a sudden you only need to knock, 20 doors, and you get the same results that you were getting when you were knocking 100 doors. So now you've optimized it, and you're so good at it that now you knock 20 doors and your business is making the same amount of money.
Yeah.
So then what do? Well, you could either knock more doors and grow your business and continue to get better, or you could start now training and teaching what you do at the door, finding other people that are more, or that have the same passion about what you have, and then optimizing it and making it actual system so you no longer have to knock a door again.
Yeah. Great example.
So stick with it. Figure out what is working, then figure out how to automate it, and then figure out how to optimize it. Use your time optimizing that one thing that is automated so that it becomes easier and you don't have to think about it. And before you know it, you're going to be sitting here going, holy cow, Ambry and Jesse, thank you so much for this podcast episode. It changed my life.
Love it.
I love you. Just love doing this podcast with you. It's so much fun. With that being said,
it's a good date night.
It is a great date night. And we both learned a few things.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a couple light bulbs go off over on your
I grow
side of the mic.
every time you like share and, like offer knowledge and experience, like you walk away with a new realization, a new learning.
I love it.
And obviously we learn from each other too. So
Yeah, I learned so much
Fantastic.
from you. You're so amazing.
oh geez.
Anyways, thank you so much for listening to the Matrimonial Merger. We appreciate you. And we'll ask you to join the Business Liberation System. You heard the ad. This is going to free up more time, more money, more fun for you. And quite frankly, the Business Liberation System goes hand in hand with what we talked about
Absolutely.
on this episode. So if you
Perfectly
want to
aligned.
streamline it, click on the link below, join the BLS, and get to work on making your life and your reality the way you want it. You are a CEO, no longer an employee in your business. Thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful week.
Thank you for tuning in to the Matrimonial Merger podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode and found it informative and entertaining. If you did, we would love it if you could share this podcast with your friends and family who might also be interested in topics related to marriage and relationships. And if you have a few minutes, please consider leaving us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us improve the show and reach more listeners like you. Thanks again for listening to the Matrimonial Merger. We'll be back soon with another episode.